Hello, I'm Jonathan Dunsky, author of the Adam Lapid Mysteries, and today I'd like to tell you about Time to Murder and Create, which was written by Lawrence Block. Time to Murder and Create is book 2 of the Matthew Scudder series. If you haven't watched my review of book 1 in the series, The Sins of the Fathers, you can find a link to that review in the description to this video. In Time to Murder and Create, Matthew Scudder is hired by a guy called Jacob Jablon, who is nicknamed Spinner. The reason why Jablon has this nickname is because he's of the habit of walking around with a silver dollar in his pocket, and whenever he sits down to talk with someone, he whips out that silver dollar and gives it a spin over whatever table he's sitting next to. Jablon is a small-time crook and police informant who Matthew Scudder knows from his days working as a police detective for the NYPD. Spinner has never been the sort of crook who achieved a great deal of success, but now when he meets Scudder, Spinner is dressed in an expensive suit and he seems to be doing very well for himself. Spinner wants Scudder to hold on to an envelope, a big envelope that he hands to Scudder. And he wants Scudder to keep this envelope and to open it only in the event that Spinner winds up dead. Spinner is afraid that someone is trying to murder him, but he is not willing to tell Scudder who this person might be or why they want to kill him. All this, presumably, is within the envelope. Scudder agrees. Spinner pays him a few $100s, and they arrange a system by which Spinner calls Scudder once a week just to let him know that he's still alive. And as you can imagine, a few weeks later, no such call is made, and Scudder learns from the newspaper that Spinner has been found dead. Someone has whacked him across the head and dumped him in the river. Scudder opens the envelope that Spinner gave him, and inside he finds several items. First of all, there's a wad of bills, $3,000 that Spinner has put in the envelope as payment to Scudder for taking on a case that he wants Scudder to do to solve Spinner's murder. In addition, there's a letter from Spinner explaining that the reason why he has been doing well for himself is that he has been running a blackmail scheme against 3 different victims. And also in the envelope is the information that Spinner collected over on these 3 victims and which proves various things that they would want to keep secret. Spinner wants Scudder to determine which of the 3 people that he blackmailed had him killed or killed him themselves. And that's why there's $3,000 in the envelope. And the reason why Spinner believes that Scudder will not just take the money and do nothing at all, after all, Spinner is dead, Scudder can just ignore his wishes and just keep the money, is because Spinner has come to know Scudder over their years of acquaintance when Scudder was a police officer and Spinner was a police informant, and he has realized that Scudder views murder as separate from other crimes. Scudder as a police officer, operated in a sort of gray zone morally. He was not above taking the occasional bribe or looking the other way when a petty crime was concerned, but Spinner believes that Scudder will not just let his murder go unpunished, that Scudder believes that all murderers should be punished. And Spinner is right about that. Scudder takes on the case for this now dead client, and the way he goes about trying to determine which of the 3 victims either killed Spinner or had him killed is by taking on a role as Spinner's partner. Scudder approaches each of the 3 blackmail victims in turn, and he explains to them that he was Spinner's partner and that he is now running the same sort of blackmail that Spinner had. And by doing so, he wants to flush out the killer by putting himself out as a target, and he hopes that the killer would make an attempt on his life, on Scudder's life, and that Scudder will be able to avoid Spinner's fate, and in so doing also determine which of the three victims is the murderer. Scudder is taking a big risk on himself, and you sort of wonder why he's willing to do so on behalf of someone like Spinner, who Scudder was not friends with, and Scudder did not even particularly like Spinner. But Spinner was right that Scudder does view murder as a crime that needs to be punished, and that society is better for removing murderers from within it. This book is a step up from book one. Book one was terrific, but this one is much better for several reasons. The plot is more complicated, the stakes are higher, and the danger that Scudder faces during the book itself, and also Scudder's interaction with all three blackmail victims is fascinating, especially with the single female victim, who is a character that could star in her own book. She's a sort of vivid character that sticks in your mind. I'm not going to reveal exactly what sort of secrets each of the three victims is trying to keep hidden, because I think that will spoil some of the fun of reading the book. But I will say that each of the characters is well portrayed. Each of them is different from the other, both in the way they behave and talk and in the way they interact with Scudder. And it's interesting that Scudder is able to sort of slip into the role of the blackmailer and also continue his case as a detective. What is also clear in the book is that Scudder's drinking has become more serious. He was drinking a lot in book one, but in this book he's drinking more frequently and heavily, and it's not a debilitating problem, but it certainly seems to be getting worse as he's going through his investigation, and when he also faces certain consequences of his actions in the book. So, Time to Murder and Create is a terrific installment in the Matthew Scudder series that I consider a must-read for any fan of mystery fiction. I do think that it would be better for you to start in book one, because then you'll enter the world of Matt Scudder at the very beginning. But if a copy of this book falls into your hands and you read it first, I don't think your enjoyment will be diminished in any way. You can find links to Time and Murder and Create, to where you can pick yourself a copy of the book, in the description to this video. And I hope that you'll give it a try. It's a terrific novel. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think you will too.